First, a couple of weeks ago, we told you about a campaign to raise money to save the famous area of the Eston Hills. Well, there's going to be a public meeting tonight held by a newly formed group who've got big plans for Eston Nab. They've even managed to raise over £6,000 of public donations in just a couple of weeks. Sian Williams, our reporter, is there for us this afternoon. What more can you tell us, Sian?
Yes, good afternoon, Neil. Well, when it was announced that the land was up for sale earlier this year, a Facebook page was set up asking Redcar and Cleveland Council to buy it, and I did manage to have a chat with the councillor George Dunning at the time, who had this to say.
The coalition government, especially this coalition government, are asking councils to sell off their assets. So this is unique. It's a bit in reverse, isn't it? People are asking us to buy assets, aren't they? But the coalition government aren't asking us to buy assets. But I'm quite willing to talk to anyone in relation to this particular piece of land, because it is a beautiful piece of land. Realistically, hands on heart, people will turn around and say, well, surely the council have got more worthwhile things that could spend the council taxpayers' money on.
Well, joining me here is Craig Hornby. He's a local historian and the head of this campaign, the Friends of Eston Hills and to buy Eston Nab and Lazenby Bank. Craig, when you did find out that the land was up for sale, you did initially look to the council for a bit of help, and we heard Councillor Dunning there. He was worried about the residents would argue that the council had better things to be spending the tax money's payers' money on. Would you agree with that?
Well, I know the council have got it hard in this climate and these savage cuts from the government, which are absolutely brutal. Let's not pretend, you know. I just thought when I first heard about the site being for sale, I thought, well, if there's going to be a campaign to try and buy them, which would be fantastic for the area, for people today and for the generations in the future, I should at least, I'm not going to embark on that. Willy-nilly. It's a serious commitment. So I'll just see what the council are doing, if they've got any plans for it at all. I don't know where. I mean, they've had money in Iceland in the past, so maybe they had some stashed millions over there they could use. I wasn't sure. So I thought I'd write to them. I wrote to them, and I've had no response, really. It was George Dunning responded after a few hours saying he'd forwarded it on to his head of regeneration. I've heard nothing since. That was just about a month ago now. So really, I don't think the council are involved in this anymore. Basically, that's not going to happen. The council took over the lease of the Lazenby Bank site from Cleveland County when Cleveland County was disbanded. That's going back 15 years, and on Lazenby Bank there's been virtually no conservation work at all done up there for 15 years, and the lease to actually carry that out expired some 8 years ago. So basically, if we don't do something up there, nothing's going to happen. So this is a campaign, ideally, to buy the site, raise the money. We've started a campaign. We've been fundraising online now for 2 weeks. We've raised over £6,000. We've had donations from £1 to £1,000, all kinds in between. Loads of people are getting behind us. And say the site was sold tomorrow, what then? Well, fair question. We said, well, we have plan B, which is we're going to use that money to restore, regenerate the mine site ruins that are in a dilapidated state, covered in graffiti. They're not being cared for. The footpaths have been churned up by 4x4s and quad bikes and the rest of it. There's litter and stuff all over the place, and the hills are in a state. Now, it's obvious the council are not going to do anything, so we're going to try and raise the money to do something serious, not just clean them up and restore them, but actually try and turn Eston Hills into the tourist destination that it should have been for a long time,
But you see, you even said there that it's a big job, and the land itself is over £400,000. You have successfully managed to raise £6,000. I mean, how realistic is your plan?
Well, I'll say in the air right now, if we got 4,000 people to put £100 in from across Teesside. There's people all over the world who will be listening to this tonight across the world, and I play with a bit of luck. I'm looking to local businesses, I'm looking for local millionaires, I'm looking for wealthy people from across Teesside, as well as everybody else. If we can get enough people to put 10 quid, 20 quid into the pot, we can soon swell our pot to actually approach the owner of the land and with an offer. Doesn't mean we have to raise 425 grand. It's been on the market for about 6 weeks. Nobody's come forward yet. But what needs to happen is that site is so precious in the story of Teesside. Without those hills, there would be no Middlesbrough. You know, Teesside, industrial Teesside, famous throughout the world, would not have happened without the iron ore of those hills that laid the foundations of the industry, of the towns, of every town and village in the Teesside area. Really, you know, the amount of wealth generated and the history that followed the discovery of ironstone at Eston is just incalculable. You know, absolutely nothing compares to it in the area, and we need to put that on the map now. Just today, right, I noticed in North Yorkshire, in the North Yorkshire Moors, the National Park has just been awarded £3 million for the Rosedale ironstone mining site to restore that. Now, it's not too far away. £3 million for Rosedale, and they say it's a world-class heritage site. I'm really pleased. It's fantastic news for the Rosedale site and the National Park. Rosedale was tiny compared to Eston. Eston was the world's biggest ironstone mine, you know. It made Middlesbrough the most famous iron-making town in the world. And we need to do something about it, you know. And we're going to build a heritage trail. We're going to have a miners' memorial on top of the hills for the 375 men that were killed. I researched a big list. It came out with my film Century in Stone. 375 men and boys lost their lives beneath those hills, and there's nothing in Eston that really names them. We need a memorial on the top of the hills, a major piece. This is big funding. So we're thinking big, and we're going to go for it, whether we buy the site or not.
Thank you very much, Craig. And there is a meeting next week if anyone is interested in going along to that, Neil.
Super. Sean, thank you very much indeed. And, of course, to Craig as well. BBC Tees tonight, 5:47 now.